All right. Good morning, everyone. We are back in force. Rahi, Roy, US fans, another exciting edition of American Soccer Break. Let us get into it. The first topic at hand, new MLS season started off. How have the Americans been doing?
Yeah, it's been an interesting start to the season. Some Americans that we expected to come out of the gates just absolutely killing it haven't. Brandon Vazquez is one big one. He's on the U.S. men's national team. He's a forward a lot of people talked about that should have been at the World Cup. He hasn't been doing as well as I expected, at least. There's a big move being discussed for him. He may be making a move to the Bundesliga shortly. Scouts are coming to see him, but I'm not seeing enough from him. The other one is Tolkien. Tolkien has had a bit of a slow start. He was a major talking point over the last few months of last season. And Cade Cowell is another one that hasn't kicked off the way we thought he would. He was a killer in the friendlies. Number one, biggest surprise, Timothy Tillman. You may have heard the name. That's Malik Tillman's brother. Malik Tillman, who plays for Rangers. He's soon to be a fixture with the national team. His brother is killing it for LAFC. He thinks a lot quicker than his peers do. That's what I love most about him, that he seems to identify plays well before they happen. He's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. And it's so refreshing to see a smart player who moves quickly, decides quickly, releases quickly, doesn't get caught up on the ball. That's what we're seeing with Tillman.
How old is he? He's not young, right? How old is Tillman?
24, right? He's 24. So young enough to be at the next World Cup, young enough to be at the one after. Have you seen him play? He's very, very interesting.
No, he's a good player. He's a good player. The one for me is Jack McGlynn. I've been impressed with him, and I'll tell you why. Because he's young, he's 19, and he did it against Atlas. I don't know if you saw that game, Philadelphia against Atlas, but he was very good in that game. And that, for me, is always the barometer. Can you do it against a team that's pretty technical, a league that is more technical than MLS, Liga MX? And he was good. I was impressed with him. He stood out to me.
Yep.
And the other one, Cade Cowell, I don't understand what's happening there. That's the biggest question mark for me. He looked so good. Was it just that the Serbian right back is terrible? I mean, was that what it was?
I don't think it's that. I think it's a team, man. I think it's San Jose that doesn't play through him. If you watch, they don't really play through him. They play through their designated player, Espinoza, in the middle, who rightfully so, he's excellent. Espinoza, one of the best designated player, best midfielders in the league, but it leaves Cowell alone, begging for the ball, and it's just so frustrating as a U.S. fan that they're not playing through him, but it's working for them.
But that the team matters, I think. That's the thing. The other guy is the Atlanta kid, Caleb Wiley, right? He looks fantastic as well.
Sure does.
I think playing for a good team in MLS matters. Atlanta United, Miles Robinson's on that team as well, right? So that
he's killing it too.
He's doing well. The two Seattle guys who are on the national team, Jordan Morris, Christian Roldan, that's a good team in Seattle. I mean, I think you have to play for a good team in MLS, and if you don't, you struggle. That's what it seems to be. I mean, most of our national team players come from Seattle, LAFC. I mean, these are the teams, right? Atlanta, and they're all good MLS teams. The rest, they seem to underdevelop players. They don't seem to get the most out of their players.
But how about the best player in the league right now, my friend? Jordan. No, maybe, but Jordan Morris, league leading goal scorer. He's killing it. He's finally looking like the guy that Jurgen Klinsmann brought in when he was playing for Stanford. He brought him into the national team to be a starter, and he looked good. This is the player I thought he would become, what he's doing this season.
He looks fantastic. But let's see. I mean, can he do... Again, it's like the MLS goggles. I don't know how he's going to look in a national team setting.
Yeah. Let's talk about that, actually. That's a good segue to the next topic I kind of wanted to cover as well about MLS. So, as a whole, now we've talked about some of the players, some surprises perhaps that are you weren't expecting to start the season strong. But let's just talk about MLS as a whole. where is MLS? What is the state of MLS? What is the state of the players? And is the overall player pool hurting us? Why don't we start there?
As you all know, I'm a huge MLS follower. I didn't say fan there because I recognize there's a lot MLS needs to do to improve. I love MLS. I follow it. I watch every game of my team and a few others. But where MLS is today, they made this Apple TV deal. And that was controversial because it puts games behind a paywall. On the plus side, it puts every single game in one place. Everyone knows where to watch. There's excellent pregame shows, postgame shows, wraparound shows. There's this show where you could watch all the best moments from every game as they're happening with commentary. It's incredible. It's some of the best across any sport, across any league in the world, but people have to pay money for it. It's pretty expensive compared to other leagues. And what we're seeing now are rumors swirling around that Apple isn't happy with the number of subscribers. There's also rumors going around that there's a clause in the Apple contract saying that they could pull out at any moment if they're not satisfied with subscribers. If this happens, what's going to happen to the league? So what's going wrong? I'll start with my first point, then I'll toss it over to you guys. I think the league needs to go back to marketing signings. It was a thing of the past where, no team had an established fan base. But if you think back to MLS in 2015, who was playing that season on match day 1? It was Steven Gerrard, Lampard, Kaká, Giovinco. It was such an incredibly exciting thing to watch. David Villa, superstars from across the world. This year, we have Ricky Puig. We got Thiago Almada. We got Talles Magno. We got younger guys, Boanga, LAFC. Younger, more talented, more hungry players than those players of the past. But I don't know if MLS is ready to make that full switch to young South American and leave behind that old way of doing things that gave us the tag of retirement league, which was the marketing science. I think we need both.
So your solution is to go after old, washed up European.
I didn't say, who said old, buddy? I said big signings. I gave the example of MLS in 2015. Sure, they were older, but we need to be going after maybe the 31-year-olds, maybe the Robbie Keane type signings. Again, another player in 2015 we had to watch. I think every team could use at least one of those type of signings and keep this strategy of bringing in the young, more expensive South Americans that we later sell.
I think you're right on the one hand that MLS has hit a plateau. And on two levels, the viewership is not growing beyond a certain point, and the league is not developing beyond a certain point. Because, look, the only way you grow viewership at this point has been that you add new teams, right? LAFC generated a ton of interest. I think St. Louis is doing well, generating some interest. And the problem is we've shifted to this young South American model, which is great. I think the product has improved. But now you're hitting a ceiling. Like, you need to let the teams that are big and have money and want to go after better players do it. They have this designated player rule. You know more about the finances of the league, and there's a limit of it's 3 players, right, that you can have that are above a certain salary level. Why not allow the Atlantas of the world, the LAFCs of the world, the Seattles of the world to go out and sign more expensive players and elevate the league? Because look, there's viewers in the US, all the finance bros love Barcelona. There's Liverpool fans, there's Arsenal fans. There's people watching a lot of soccer, but they're not watching MLS. And they're not going to be convinced by bringing 35-year-old Messi to come play, that they don't care about that. They're looking at quality soccer. That's why they watch Barcelona. Right? We can convert those to MLS viewers if we improve the quality of the league. But for me, it's like, let the big teams be the big teams.
I don't know if I agree with your last statement, Rocky. I think if we bring a 35-year-old Messi, that will change the game in this league in the same way that bringing, 33-year-old David Beckham to the league changed the league. That went from a league nobody gave a crap about, nobody heard about, to putting itself on the international radar for leagues around the world. It was much watched soccer when he was here. Same when Zlatan came, and it will be 10x when Messi comes here, if he comes here. So I disagree with that point.
But I do want to make a point on that. I mean, that's fine. Those guys were all here and playing in this league, but has it fundamentally changed the league as a whole? It hasn't, right? And the other point I want to bring up, which I thought Rahi made a good point on, was there's a lot of American ownership now of clubs abroad, right? Mm-hmm. And these are owners that have a lot of cash to throw around, right? So if you remove something like that, and I get it, it makes the league like less parity in the league. I know you can't remove it completely. No professional American sports league is completely void of some kind of luxury tax or salary cap or something. But if you kind of lower that a little bit, I wonder if some of these American owners look domestically instead of abroad as the teams get bigger and bigger and bigger, right?
Yeah, that's a fantastic point. Absolutely fantastic point. Look at this guy, fancy prance, not Daredevil, Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
How incredible would it be to have a spokesperson like Ryan Reynolds in Major League Soccer? Look what he's done with Wrexham. Wrexham is it's out reviewing MLS in terms of viewership. It's incredible. So I agree with you, Sahil. I agree with you, Rahi, on loosening up the purse strings. But the problem we have to recognize is the OG MLS owners, the ones that put significant money to help this league grow, not just their team. So the Robert Krafts of the league, they're the ones that are cheap. They're the ones that aren't investing in their teams. And they're the ones that would be hurt the most by the league kind of removing or drastically elevating that salary cap.
I want to finish with the concept of the U.S. men's national team within the framework of MLS. So given everything we talked about, do we feel the state of the league is not we're not developing the type of players we need to from a U.S. men's national team perspective?
I think the answer is, to date, it's been fine. We're arriving at the point where the league is not catching up to the pace at which the American player is developing. And so that's about to happen. So if there are two trains, that the American player development is moving faster at this point than MLS is. To date, I think it's been great. And the academy teams have produced really good players. And you know, a guy like Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie have done well. But we're arriving at that point where I think there's going to be some separation, and MLS is hitting a ceiling, and the American player needs more from the domestic league. So the simple answer to your question is not yet, but happening very soon. That's my opinion.
Good point. I think MLS is hitting a ceiling because of the rules it has in place.
Yeah.
And I think that ceiling will move. And I think MLS will notice, okay, we're getting less and less of our players in the national team. That's not good for perception of this league. We're going to have to bump this up a little bit quicker to catch up. So I'm not as concerned about that. Now, I will say, in terms of developing for the national team, look at the most recent, what's it called? The GA Cup, Generation Adidas Cup, where teams from all over the world, U15, U17, come and compete against MLS teams. Manchester United is there. Real Madrid is there. Seattle knocked out Arsenal 3-0 at the U15 level. Philadelphia just knocked out Real Madrid.
Yep.
So our academy seemed to be doing a very, very good job in producing talent. You watch those games, and if you squint, you can't tell which is the European team. And that's incredible. That is incredible. But there's something after that academy stage and into MLS, whatever's happening in between, we're losing a lot of talent.
Yeah.
They're not developing the way they should. And we got to figure out that bridge, to strengthen that bridge and ensure that we get these superstars at the U15 level go on to become superstars at the first team level in MLS. Then we're going to have a huge conversation about MLS's role in the U.S. national team.
I think that's kind of where we go from here. All right, I'm going to finish here. I won't really ask you guys what you're watching because the U.S. women's team is playing in an hour or two. So I think everyone should just watch that game. It'll be a good friendly where, you know, we'll see how the team develops. And we will see you guys next week as always.
Go USA.
Yeah. Viva USA.